Good morning, run talks, the sunrise, Jay here, smoking. So this morning I want to talk to you about how focusing on the symptom, not the actual problem, is creating those repeating patterns in your business and in your life. One of the lessons I've learned over the years is that quite often, as human beings, as business owners, we often want the quick fix. We've already got so many things going on, juggling so many plates, as well as dealing with finances, with clients, with teams, with where our next clients are going to come from, how we manage our time, how we manage ourselves. If you've got a family, how you manage your family, as well as your hobbies and your friends and everything that ultimately comes with that. We've got a lot on. And what tends to happen is we often want this quick fix. We want something that could just put out the fire. Like now, I'm already fighting enough fires and I just want to put it out. And so we're running around like a headless chicken, trying to put out the fires in our lives and in our business in the hope that it'll be okay. And it's kind of like putting a band-aid on. Like, it's good for a while, but eventually you need to take that person to a hospital to get some kind of stitches. I remember about 7.5 years ago when I first got into business, I was hungry. I was so hungry for it. I wanted it so bad. And I was willing to work hard. I was willing to put in the time. I was willing to adapt and grow and evolve. And so what I decided to do was invest in some training in how to market myself, understand sales, understand how to position products. And I started executing on that training. And I found myself getting results as a result of that execution. And what started to happen for me is I started to build confidence in myself. And things were working great. But as with most things in life, things normally go well for so long before what happens? You get some kind of problem. And the problem I faced was Facebook shut me down. Facebook shut down my account and I pushed through, I pushed hard, and eventually I got my account back only to be shut down again a month or two later, which was leading to me feeling massively frustrated. And what happened was I started buying courses from Facebook experts in the hope that they would show me a different way. I started investing in more trainings, attending seminars. And I found myself starting to doubt myself. I found myself feeling frustrated. I started wondering, am I even cut out for business at all? And while everyone around me was saying, maybe you should get a job, there was something within me that really didn't want to give up. This hunger was still there. I still wanted it, but I was just really struggling. And so not knowing what to really do, as I wasn't really getting the results or generating the income that I wanted, I decided, I know. Instead of going to the root cause of the problem, I decided that I'm going to find a band-aid. And that band-aid looked like starting another business. I know it's the business's fault. It's the vehicle's fault. And so I started another business. And I went into e-commerce. I started a private labeling company. We did nearly $500,000 in sales in that company over the next couple of years. But the same thing seems to start to happen. I was facing problems and I was going a bit downhill in my results. Things weren't going as well as I wanted them to. And so I was like, well, what do I do here? Well, I need to buy another course, I need to buy another program. That must be it, must be more information that I need to actually gather. And eventually I realized, I had this light bulb moment where I realized that most of the problems that we face in business have very little to do with gathering more information. It's not the vehicle quite often, it's not the business that's often the problem. It's often the person running the business and what's going on between our two ears. Now, that is not always easy to admit to yourself. It's not always easy to come to that conclusion, because the way the mind works is it wants to protect you from that. And so it's going to come up with the logic and the justifications to say, I know, it's the course, it's the business, it's nothing to do with me, it's everything to do with everything outside of myself. And then what happens is we fall victim to business, we fall victim to Facebook, Google, our lives being shut down, business partners, marketing strategies, whatever it is, we fall victim to. And I was watching the Formula One series on Netflix. And there was a driver on there that we kept on crashing. They kept on crashing this incredible car that his teammate was doing really well. And he kept on crashing this car. And you could hear him on the radio blaming this fucking, it's the rules, it's the other drivers, it's fucking shit. And he was getting, I think it wasn't Kimi Räikkönen, it was it? I can see his face. But anyway, he was blaming everything else. And as people always say, a bad tradesman always blames his tools, right? The car was working, but what had happened is lost confidence in himself. And then he felt like he had to justify everything. It's the car, it's the rules, it's this fucking race, it's the weather, it's everything, it's BS. Instead of putting himself back in the driving seat, instead of coming up with logical reasons and justifying it, he then put himself back in the driving seat. He put himself back in the driving seat of his thoughts, his emotions, his vehicle in this case. And he started to create results. He's seen a psychologist, he came forth. What did that do? It boosted his confidence again. And give him the belief to keep on going. He went on to extend his contract, so he was meant to be out of contract, extend his contract to stay with that team. Now, as this relates to us, this was what happened to me. I decided I was going to be responsible. I was going to focus on what was going on in here, rather than what I thought I needed out there. Because there's two reasons problems exist. Two reasons. One, you don't have the information, you don't have the skill set, you don't have something to take you from A to B. i.e., when I first started coaching, I did not have a framework or a structure to actually coach people. So I invested in a training which taught me that. I did not have all the techniques that could quickly create change on an unconscious level in people's lives and let them purge negative emotions, shift limiting beliefs, and allow them to keep moving forward. I didn't have that, so I invested in that. The second reason problems exist is because of something that's going on in here. The way we see the world, we have an unbalanced perspective, we have some kind of belief that we can't do it, I'm not enough. If I do this, some kind of fear that people are going to reject me or ridicule me, or that I'm going to fail, or even I'm going to succeed. Those are the only two reasons problems exist. And most people focus on the first reason, which is there isn't enough information, and they treat everything, every symptom, like that, with that kind of solution. Instead of actually taking the time to diagnose and go inside and say, maybe it's the way I'm seeing the world. Maybe there's something within me that needs to that needs shifting so I can execute in a more effective way, so I can execute on the strategy, so I can get in the driving seat, so I can win the race, as opposed to making excuses for not winning the race. So the real question you've got to ask yourself is, are you putting a band-aid over the problem and coming up with a solution, buying a course, buying another marketing strategy, only to discover 1 month, 3 months, 6 months down the line, it had nothing to do with the strategy. That was just a short-term fix that gave you some kind of hope, when the real work is in what's going on in here. Because if we change the way we see the world, the way we see the world actually changes. Think about this for a second. I'm going to wrap on this. If you're driving down the road and you're on your way in your lovely car, and someone cuts you up, they cut inside of you, they screech in front of you, you're forced to brake, and your reaction is, you fucking idiot, what are you doing? Like you're going mental, and so then you're pushing up against them, you're pushing like hard up against them, and you're effing and blinding, maybe you're flicking the V's, however you're responding, you're triggered by this, you're going absolutely nuts, and you think they're such an idiot, why would they do this? Stupid crap drivers, you're going absolutely bananas. And then later on you pull up to the hospital where they're parked next to you and you're ready to get out. You're ready to get out and go nuts. And a man gets out the car and opens the back door and his pregnant wife is bleeding to death. Now, how do you feel? You probably feel a little bit of guilt, maybe a little bit of shame, but your perspective shifts just like that when you were given new evidence to suggest otherwise. Now sure, on many events that is an idiot cutting in front of you. It is somebody in a rush. It could be a guy in a rush to get to the hospital because his wife is about to have a baby, or it could be something else. But when we create that shift, when we're provided with new evidence, and this is what I do with a tool that I use, using your timeline and your past memories, everything changes. And your ability to be decisive, your ability to execute, your energy is going to improve drastically as a result. So I'd love to know, you can put B for Band-Aid, or you can put a P for problem. What have you spent a week, a year, 5 years, 7 years treating? Have you been putting a Band-Aid on, B in the comments, or have you been treating the actual problem by putting a P in the comments? So for me, as always, it's a beautiful morning. Just remember, it's Monday, it's a great day to start. Always just show up. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.